Hello, my lovelies, my darlings. How are you today? Welcome to my kitchen, the Queen's Curry Kitchen. I'm in my little kitchen in Queens where I make curry. Today, I was going to teach a class online. And then, of course, everything was set up and I was going to make 2 rice dishes for my students. But in the last minute, they called me and said that their whole family is out sick and they will not be able to make it to this class. So I was going to take off my apron and then I said, you know what? Let me actually take this opportunity and do a live session with people who are willing to learn, right? Yes, this is free. So unlike the session that I was going to get paid for. But I still feel like if you are an enthusiast of Indian food and you love the flavors, then I could just bring you in and show you what I'm making for dinner for my family. So the original plan was that this biryani was going to be dinner for my family. But because we're not doing the biryani anymore for the class, I decided to make a different dinner. So the dish that we're going to make today is called Matar mushroom, which means peas with mushrooms. And this is from all of the mise en place that I had in place for the class. So that didn't happen, but nonetheless, we're not going to waste time and resources and we're going to make the most of it, okay? So I'm going to show you how we do it. We're doing the vegan version of this. So we won't be using any ghee. Restaurants usually use ghee and butter and heavy cream to make it happen. Okay, so in goes a little bit of oil. The first thing that I'm going to put is some cumin seeds for a nice earthy flavor. A little piece of cinnamon, couple of cloves. Now don't think that cinnamon can only be used in sweet things and cloves can only be used with ham. Like we need to bust this myth, okay? So we are going to bust this myth. I'm gonna put 1 green cardamom. You can crack it and put it in there, it does not matter. This is what gives it a nice flavor, the aroma. Okay. I also have 1 large red onion that has been chopped, which is right here. This is going to go in. For our other aromatics, we have minced ginger and minced garlic. Garlic and ginger, that's going to go in. So I'm going to show you how to make the base for this. This is a curry that's going to have a little bit of a thicker consistency compared to other curries. It's not a stir fry, but this is how it starts out. Hello Kyle, how are you? It's good to see you here. In goes the onions. I'm only cooking for 1 person today, so I don't need the whole thing. Just that much should be good enough. If you make this dish with ghee, of course it's going to taste phenomenal, but we're not doing that today. We are just going to saute this and give it some color. I'm gonna get all of my other herbs and spices ready. So most of the herbs that are gonna go into this dish are actually just from my daily use masala box, which is right here. If you haven't ordered this from my website, the Queen's Curry Kitchen website, you need to get it because it comes fully loaded with all the spices. It's stainless steel. You can wash it in the microwave. You can take out your spices a little bit at a time so that the large bottles or boxes don't get exposed to moisture and air and you can retain the potency. You can buy this box fully loaded with the spices or without the spices. The spices that you're going to get are coriander powder, turmeric, Indian paprika. You're going to get some cumin seeds. You will get some fenugreek herb, which is kasuri methi. You'll also get a home ground garam masala and you will get an Indian curry powder. Okay, so those are some of the spices that you're going to get when you order the box fully loaded. I'm just gonna saute this. In goes the ginger and a little bit of the garlic. You just have to cook this out till the raw smell of the ginger and garlic is gone. If you were in that tutorial where I made the base curry sauce, you can actually make this dish very quickly with the curry sauce. That's how they do it in the restaurant. If you don't have the curry sauce in your freezer, this is what we're gonna do. Add a little bit of salt just to help the onions release their moisture. And your nose is going to tell you whether it's ready for the next step or not, because you'll no longer smell the raw garlic and the raw ginger. Okay, so just a quick saute, not rocket science. Feel free to share this and turn your notifications on so that whenever I'm live next, you can actually catch me there. I have a website where you can actually sign up for classes. The website is queenscurrykitchen.com. There is a class for every level of skill in the kitchen, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I also offer classes through classbento.com. You can go in there and search by my name. You can search Indian food classes, class bento, and it'll show up. Okay, so let this saute and get a little color. It's still a little pink. I want it to be slightly brownish. So we're not gonna fully caramelize the onions, but we definitely want it to have some kind of a color. The other spices that we're gonna use today are going to be coriander seed powder. We're going to use paprika. We'll use turmeric and a little black pepper. And of course, we're going to use salt. Then we're going to use dry fenugreek herb, which is what gives this dish its characteristic flavor. It's a very earthy kind of an herb. And it's actually a leafy green that's dried and then preserved so that we can use it in its off season. It only grows in the winter time in India. Okay, so now the onions are slightly brown. I'm going to go ahead and add some of my tomatoes, not all. Whenever you add tomatoes, go ahead and add the salt so that it can help to draw out the moisture from the tomatoes. And if you're cooking tomatoes in the off season, like if it's winter and you're cooking with tomatoes, there is no harm in cheating with a little bit of tomato puree from the can. Okay, it just helps to keep your dishes consistent in their taste. So we rely on it a lot in the restaurant because tomatoes in June and tomatoes in December are not the same. So just add a little bit for the beautiful rich color and also to maintain the tartness of the tomatoes. The flame is on medium. Let's stick this back in the fridge. I'm just going to get some water ready to put into here so we can actually expedite the breakdown of the tomatoes. The salt has already gone in. Just going to add a little bit of water to create some steam, and I'm going to add some of my dry spices, and I'll put the lid on here. Okay, so that'll prevent my spices from burning, and it's going to give them enough time to cook. This is the dry fenugreek herb. In goes the coriander seed powder. You don't want to put too much coriander powder because you don't want your dish to look black. Turmeric, paprika. The trick with paprika is add it and immediately add water and then put a lid on so that it's going to draw out all of the beautiful luscious red color from the paprika. Okay, now we are going to put a lid on here and we are going to wait for it to come to a boil, to simmer, and to break down into a paste-like consistency. And to stay hydrated. Now for the veggies that I'm going to use, I have frozen peas, I have mushrooms from a can, and I'd actually cut up this potato for the vegetable pulao, but since we're not making the pulao, I don't want these potatoes to turn black, so I'm just going to use them in this curry. Totally harmless. We have some cilantro that we can use up. Okay, so let's just do that. You see how that water actually draws out more moisture and it helps it to become a paste-like consistency. Go ahead and pat it down with the back of your spoon. It's still raw. You can smell the rawness of the tomatoes. Until the oil and the fat floats to the top, you're not supposed to move on to the next step in your curry making. Okay, so that's the clue. Here's the recipe that I printed for my class, the biryani and the pulao. So if anybody wants to take a class with me, just remember, you get all of the ingredient lists, you get the recipe cards, and then you show up on the class with all of your prep work done. And we jump right into actually cooking the dish. Yep, that's how the format of the class is set up. Okay? I can also make this in an Instant Pot, but my phone was actually connected here, so I thought it's just better for me to do it here. Okay, so I'm going to continue to cook this down. All of the moisture will evaporate. The tomatoes have softened. You can see it literally becomes a paste of sorts. Now I just have to wait for all of the fat to float to the top. I'm going to add a little skirt to fry out the potatoes. And the more you cook them, the less raw they will be, the better your base of the curry is going to be. So this is literally the base of your curry. The two aromatics of ginger and garlic, the cloves, the cinnamon, the cardamom, the onions, and the tomato. This is a basic Indian curry. I also added some cumin seeds at the beginning, but with or without that, it's still a base for the curry. Okay, now since the potatoes are the thing that takes the longest to cook, just stick them in there, give them a good swirl. We're not exactly frying it out, but just putting it in first. We are going to cook this thing till the potatoes are soft. Next go in the peas. Stir them in. And last but not the least, in go the mushrooms. These are just mushrooms from a can. You can use canned, you can use fresh, whatever you have. Okay, so once it's well incorporated, you're going to go ahead and add more salt to this because the potatoes will need salt of their own. A little black pepper to go with the turmeric absorption. And a little more paprika, a little more coriander powder, a little more of the fenugreek, and some more water. Hello Kamlesh ji, how are you? I'm making Matar mushroom. Now, if you like to make rice which is flavored, you can actually totally use this. Add enough water to make rice and add washed and rinsed rice to this and stick it in your rice cooker. It's going to taste fabulous. It's just going to need a little more salt because you have to factor for the salt that is required for the rice as well. Okay, but if you're not going to add any rice and you're going to make this as a curry, then you can either add veggie broth, you can add coconut milk, or you can just add good old hot water. And you're going to allow this to simmer. I'm not going to add coconut milk now. I may add it in the end just to finish off the sauce. But I'm not going to add it now because I still need the potatoes to cook. The potatoes are completely raw. So I need the potatoes to cook out. I'm going to increase the flame to high. This will take about 7 to 10 minutes for the potatoes to completely cook. At this time, you can check for seasoning. Okay. Hey Sabrina, how are you? A little more salt, some Indian curry powder, and there you go. Just gonna stir this in, and I'm gonna add some cilantro to this. Now this is a very versatile dish. If you want to add red and green peppers to it, you can do that. If you want to add broccoli, you can do that. If you want to add a piece of shrimp or fish or whatever, you can. But this is just a vegetarian dish. So I'm not going to be adding any meat to this. Peas have a lot of protein, so it's really a good source of animal protein. Just put the lid on, let it simmer, and cook it till the potatoes are nice and tender. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just super easy to do. Let me see if I have the coconut milk in my fridge. Yes, I do. Yep. So this is the brand of coconut milk that I use, and it's really, really solid from sitting in the fridge. I may need to scoop it out with the fridge, with a with a spoon. So it tends to solidify when it's in the fridge. Just give it a good stir, or you can add a little bit of hot water to this, and then it becomes pretty flowy. So the cream tends to settle on top and the liquid is at the bottom. You can keep this ready. If you want to add one more layer of flavor, what you can do is you can add something called curry leaves. Okay, I feel like curry leaves and coconut milk are a match made in heaven, and if you're going to add one of these to a dish, you might as well add the other. You can see it's bubbling away. We want the peas to be fully cooked. We want the potatoes to be fully cooked. How you'll know that the potatoes are cooked is that they're not going to have these sharp edges. You see how it's cut and it's got sharp edges? When these edges soften up and become bumpy, that's when you know that your potatoes are cooked. And you can also smash them with a knife and see how they're doing. Oh, the aromas in here are incredible. I'm not saying this because I cooked it. It's just really that good. Okie doke. Just gonna add a little bit of coconut milk to build the flavor along the way. My husband is not a huge fan of coconut milk, but this is a vegan recipe, so I'm using coconut milk. You can also use cashew paste. If you're not vegan and you eat dairy, then you can add heavy cream, but just add it towards the end of the cooking, not during the course of the cooking. Okay, so I'm gonna put the lid back on, and yeah, about 7 to 10 minutes later, this should be absolutely ready to go. If you feel like the water is evaporating too fast, you can obviously keep adding a little bit of liquid as you go along. But keep an eye on it. If you make it in the Instant Pot, then just pressure cook it for like 2 minutes or something, and that does it. And just go ahead and add a little water to give it some extra time for the potatoes to boil. That's about it. I mean, hey, now it's cleanup time. So while that happens, I'm just going to clean up my act, put my stuff away, because I do have to go to work at my restaurant in the city where I work. So I'm definitely heading there. But yeah, I'm going to clean up everything around me, all the stuff that I scattered and arranged for the class. It's such a bummer when you really take the effort and like set everything up and whatever. And then the class doesn't happen, but you know what can you do? Someone can get sick. We have no control over that. I just hope they feel better really soon. And I think they have a stomach bug, like the whole family has a stomach bug, which is really, really sad. Okay, so I'm just backing up, winding up. This is all my prep from the biryani class. So the onions, the tomatoes, the garlic, bell pepper, I had everything going. So we were totally prepared for this class. There's no doubt about that. Red peppers, green peppers, ghee, garlic, veggies, everything was ready. So I'm just gonna put everything back into the refrigerator. Tell me if your refrigerator looks as messy as mine. And this is after I cleaned it. This is after cleaning, okay? Look, is yours as messy as mine? I hope not. We're just always bringing food to the house. I don't know what it is. Ugh. So I guess it just never is not messy. Okay, so the aromas coming from here are absolutely gorgeous. You have to be here to appreciate it for what it is, my lovelies. But you know what? I'm going to take out some cilantro to add the finishing touches to my Matar mushroom. And the rest of the cilantro, which my chiquito has chopped for me at the restaurant for my prep, is going to go back into the fridge. Let's see when these people reschedule the class. That's when we're going to do it. So you know what? You can plan a million things, but everything happens at its own divine timing. That's the lesson of the day. So we started today with a journaling meditation where we all set our intentions for the new year. And after I did that, I jumped right into prepping for this class, you know, getting the printouts ready, wearing my uniform and all the good stuff. But little did I know that it's not going to go through today. But hey, as long as everyone is healthy and well, there will always be an opportunity to do it next week or tomorrow. But I promise you, whenever I do it, I'm going to bring you in and I'll show you all the fun that we have behind the scenes. It's just me. I don't have an assistant in this class with me because, you know, it was not unsurmountable, so it's quite okay. Let me just show you a quick peek into what it's looking like right now. You see how it's coming together? So the tomatoes, the onions, combined with all the dry spices, they make like a nice base. And you can see it's starting to thicken up. The potatoes are not even halfway there yet, so I am gonna need to add a little more water to this so I can continue to generate the steam to continue to cook the potatoes. Let me get some water in here. I'm not going to hold you up for the next 10 minutes till this happens, so we can actually sign off. And then just stay tuned to my stories. I'll place the dish and I'll show you how beautiful it looks and how well cooked it comes out to be. And you can follow up the story from there. How about that? And if you are thinking of taking a class or you want to give this class as a gift to somebody you love, definitely consider doing that as a gift certificate. You can do that from our class bento link. It's called classbento.com. And you can go there. You can research all of the classes. There's a lot of classes, not just for cooking, but for all different kinds of fun crafts and art and all the good stuff. So that's how I found them. But hey, if cooking is your thing, then you can definitely go and look for my name and you will see the classes that I offer. I think I have the beverage class, I have the dips and chutneys, and I have the rice class. I'm trying to think what else I've listed. Anyway, this Wednesday I'm going to go live with Dildiya Gala with Veena Lama, and we are going to do soups and we'll do a sandwich.